Welcome to the first offseason for our College Football 26 Dynasty with the TCU Horned Frogs. In the last episode, spoiler warning here, we got bounced in the very first round of the playoffs, unfortunately, and then went over all of these season stats and awards. So the main thing in today's episode is to be handling the entirety of the offseason and try to get ready to compete for a national championship in the next season. But to be completely honest, a lot of that depends on if this man is going to be coming back at quarterback or if we have to hit the portal or potentially start a true freshman or a redshirt freshman or anything like that, because he is a highly rated prospect at an 87 overall and his backup is only a 75 but also a redshirt senior. So we will be guaranteed to lose Ken Seals. We might lose Josh Hoover. And there are several key pieces on this defense that we will be losing as well, like our starting middle linebacker, a starting outside linebacker, our best edge rusher who led our team in sacks this last year. And then in case you don't remember, we actually are going to lose multiple corners here because 5 of the 6 on our roster are seniors. So I would obviously, like I already said, love to compete for a national championship next season, but it's really going to depend a lot on how this offseason goes and if we can manage to keep our quarterback or have to get a new one. Anything like that. But either way, it's finally time to jump into the offseason here. If you want to take a look at season stats or awards, it is near the end of the previous episode, so now we can just fully focus on the offseason. Alright, well, here are the players that are trying to leave in the transfer portal right now. We'll look over them here in just a second. You can obviously see all the guys that we are losing to graduation. We're losing a nice chunk of this team. And it looks like Bud Clark is so far the only one projected to get drafted here. He's projected to go in round number 2. But let's see if we can persuade some of these guys to actually come back. Like wide receiver Jordan Dwyer. I understand he didn't have a great year last year, but we are going to try to bring him back. Can we possibly persuade him? It's a medium chance, and he will be leaving in the portal. That kind of sucks, but I kind of have been expecting that one all season. Kyle Limmerman, I did not recruit a kicker, so I would really love if you could come back. And he has not been persuaded either, so we'll probably have to get a kicker in the transfer portal. What about Adam Schobel? If we lose you, we lose every quarterback on our roster, and he has decided to stay. And actually, now that I'm noticing this, our quarterback didn't leave. So we actually get to keep Josh Hoover for one more season, which is a massive plus here. So Schobel could be the backup quarterback next season, but we at least get to keep him just in case an injury happens or anything like that. What about this man? It's a high chance to persuade him to come back, and he has decided to stay as well. I almost want to say everyone else can go, but we'll try to get Micah Strickland back, and he has not been persuaded. We have a few more we can use, but I think the only one I'm going to try to get is Randy Warlick because he's a true freshman, and I believe we redshirted him. And even though his was very high, he has not been persuaded to come back. We're going to try one more guy here, and that is safety Ryan Yates. Playing style is a D+, and he has not been persuaded either. So yeah, we at least get to keep our backup quarterback in Adam Schobel, and we get to keep our redshirt junior edge rusher. So hopefully we can find some replacements in the portal, but from here we're going to move on. And just in case you wanted an official count here, we had 7 guys go to the transfer portal and we lost 22 to graduation. So in total, we lose 29 guys. And how many players get drafted? It is just Bud Clark going in round 2. And now for the first week of recruiting, there are some guys here that I'm still trying to get from high school, like a 4-star in Tobias Lamer. But we have several just 3-star guys here that I'm still just waiting to sign, including a punter because our punter did graduate. But unfortunately, I actually did not go recruit a kicker in the transfer portal yet, but let me show you what we have so far. In my experience so far in this game, it is good to be very aggressive at the start of the transfer portal, so I don't think we're going to land all of the guys I have added, but I am going after 3 separate receivers, so hopefully we can land one of them. I would really love to get Malachi Coleman with that 96 speed. Moving on down the list, we also have center Van Wells, and we really just need a center because we do not have a good one on the roster right now. Our center graduated, and the backups are not good unless they take a massive jump in off-season training. And yes, like I mentioned, we lost several corners to graduation just because they were seniors, and I was able to recruit a few freshmen, but I wanted to bring a couple guys in on the transfer portal as well. So we have Jet White and then Judge Collier. I'm going to assume that's how you say your name. Another guy we are going for our offensive line is right guard Jalen Slappy, who just has some incredible ratings. And then staying in the trenches, I want 4-star defensive tackle CJ Fight. And then moving on, I wanted to add a power back to the roster because we really did not have one. He's not a straight up archetype of a power back, but he is an elusive bruiser. And I think Dawson Pendergrass could be really nice on our team. We've also added a few safeties here in Jason Brewer and Peyton Williams. As of right now, we're not going after CJ Johnson because I ran out of hours, but he's only a 3-star, so I don't think we can lose or at least get too far behind him right now. Do not worry, I still plan to add a kicker to our list. It's just not in the first week right now, so let's simulate to the next week. And a lot of those high school guys were coming on visits and on hard sells, so hopefully we can land at least one of them, and we get none of them. But let's just take a look at how close we are. Tobias Lamer is right there. We're right now the only school going after him. Athlete Terrell Stark. It looks like UCLA has kind of joined the mix, which may be a problem. I don't know if we're going to end up getting him. Jaden Averill should not be an issue. Our punter definitely should not be an issue. And then Spencer Luna is just kind of here because we did not have many tight ends. So I added him late in the year. And I honestly don't know if he will even find playing time in his first few years here. But let's look down the list right now. Now, Devin McQuinn, I do not know if that's how you pronounce your name, and I apologize. If we actually land you, I may have to actually look that up. But Malachi Coleman, right now we're the only one going after him. That is amazing. And then Kenny Odom, we're in a battle with Tennessee. What about our center? Right now we're in the lead. What about our defensive back? We're in the lead over SMU currently. We are going to be in a fight with Clemson for Judge Collier. Right guard, Jalen Slappy, we are in the lead, but we are fighting with Ohio State, who has a 5 on the pipeline tier. Defensive tackle, CJ Fight, we're going to be fighting with Texas. Running back, Dawson Pendergrass, we're fighting with Alabama. Jason Brewer, we're pulling away. And then Peyton Williams, we're pretty far ahead. This one, we are losing to Boise, and we're probably just going to take CJ Johnson off. But I do want to scout him and compare him to Peyton Williams first. He is a couple years younger. Remember that 87 speed, 63 zone. And then we'll finish scouting this guy at 78 zone, 89 speed. Yeah, CJ, we're going to go ahead and take you off the board. The downside to trying to add a kicker in the portal here is that there really are none, at least none that want to come here. Is there any prospect that wants to transfer to us as a kicker? It does not look like it. And really the kind of confusing one is Kyle Lemmerman. He's not on this point, so I guess we need to sort by any state. And yeah, there's still no one that wants to transfer here to be kicker, which is kind of weird. But Lemmerman is leaving us because Pro Potential is an F. Because Pro Potential's figured really weirdly in this game. It depends on how well your recent players have been drafted. So our Pro Potential is currently an F. He needs at least a D. And apparently Missouri State, Kennesaw State, and Temple are going to provide that. Sure, man. All right, the kicker we're going to try to add is Jamie Battle, who apparently right now is the #1 kicker in the country. It says he's in his top 5, and we are not here, but we're not locked out. Don't know what that's about. But 88 kick power, 88 kick accuracy, comes with the chip shot and the deep range ability already. And then you can see here on the left side of the screen, I have scheduled visits for a lot of these people, but not everyone right now. We never fully scouted Jason Brewer, so I guess I will do that real fast. I thought I did, and okay, decent ratings there. But the only two that have not had visits scheduled right now are Jalen Slappy and Judge Collier. But let's go ahead and advance this week and see if we land anyone else here. I would love to at least close out a couple of the guys in the portal, but I'm not going to guarantee that's going to happen. We do manage to land the punter that I've been waiting to get, and that is the only guy that is committed right now. Well, we now have the punter, and I think we're going to get everyone else here just because I don't really think anyone else is going too hard after these guys. UCLA is still going after Terrell Stark, who is an East-West playmaker, so should be a running back. But he doesn't have a visit until week 4, so they could theoretically steal him, but I'm not super worried about it. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to land some of the guys in the portal that I really wanted. We are still right now leading for Devin McQuinn. Andy is visiting this week. We are also leading with Malachi Coleman, and no one else is really going after him right now. Wide receiver Kenny Odom, though, we have fallen behind Tennessee. We don't have a visit scheduled until week 4. I think they may be able to get him. And then we have center Van Wells, who we are really far ahead on. He is visiting this week. We should be able to land him. Defensive back Jet White, SMU is really trying to come back. Texas Tech has a visit. We have already allowed him to visit back in week 2. And then we have Judge Collier, which I really don't think we're going to get now because Clemson has apparently gone super hard after him. Not much of a shock. And then right guard Jalen Slappy, I also think we're going to lose out to because Ohio State has gone super hard after him. Defensive tackle CJ Fight, we are still fighting for him over Texas. Running back Dawson Pendergrass, we're doing okay right now. He does have a visit with Alabama this week though. Free safety Jason Brewer, we are far ahead USC. And then strong safety Peyton Williams, we are far ahead of Texas A&M. And then we have kicker Jamie Battle, who we are now in his top 3, I guess. I mean, it really shouldn't be a problem to get him at all. Moving on past that, I did add a couple more guys from the portal onto our list, starting with left guard Caden Moreau, because like I said, I highly doubt we're going to land Jalen Slappy. I still want to add a little bit more to our offensive line. This guy is not going to be like a world breaker for us, but should be a solid starter if he ends up winning that job. And then Cameron Cooper out of Dayton, Texas, archetype of a thumper at outside linebacker, just because I wanted a little bit more depth there. So yeah, we're going after him as well. But now it is time to jump into the final week of off-season recruiting and see if we can land anybody here. Please give me some names that we want to see. We ended up landing Tobias Lamer. We knew that one was coming, along with free safety Jaden Averill, another freshman. Center Van Wells out of Houston, Texas. So that is one of the transfer guys. We're glad to get him. Who else? Defensive back Jet White. So we're not forced to just start some true freshmen there. Jason Brewer, a free safety. And do we land? Yes, we also get Peyton Williams. So most of our secondary is going to be the transfer portal. But unfortunately, we do lose a few guys here. And I really wish that would stay up on the screen to where I could actually go over and look at it. Because let me scroll back down. It looks like we did lose Kenny Odom, Judge Collier, and Jalen Slappy. Pretty much all 3 guys we knew we were going to be losing. I don't even know what you can do if you are in a recruiting battle. It shows that we're in one with USC, but there's really nothing I can do at this point. We have hard sold him. We are still putting the max amount of points into him that we can. Malachi Coleman, though, we seem to be fine. He should be visiting this week. But something weird that happened is these guys just now decided that our playing time, thanks for seeing the deal breaker go, get covered anchors away by Navy. But anyway, playing time is an F and an F for these guys. Did y'all just now think, yeah, y'all were going to be 100% the starter, or did it just now set in for some of you? I don't really know what to do with those guys, but everyone else, we seem to be in a good spot. What I decided to do is just leave those guys here on our board. Maybe they'll commit to us anyway. I don't really know. And then I've added a couple defensive tackles just in case we don't land Fight, because I don't really think we have much depth at defensive tackle. And I really don't know where he thinks he's not getting playing time here, because his ratings are really good. Aside from that finesse move, I actually think he would probably be our #1 guy, because when you go look at our defensive tackles, the best one's like an 80 overall right now. And one more addition real quick is actually going to be center Mackenzie Agnello, who is a 3-star transfer but has some pretty solid ratings. I could even play him at guard if I need to. But that is it. I filled the entire board, which I don't really like doing, but we did lose 29 guys, and I can definitely find 6 players to cut on this team. So let's go ahead and jump into the next week, and we will find out who we land here. And I'm actually kind of nervous we're going to lose out on some big names, but we do land, it looks like CJ Fight out of Texas. We also land kicker Jamie Battle. So we have our new kicker. We get running back Dawson Pendergrass, even though there was a deal breaker. Oh, that also goes for CJ Fight. I just remembered that. Malachi Coleman has also committed. So we have a 96 speed receiver now, which is amazing. And wide receiver Devin McQuinn has committed over USC. Once again, don't know what a recruiting battle actually does, but we managed to win it. Then we get running back Terrell Stark. And then who else? We get left guard Caden Moreau, who we just added, along with outside linebacker Cameron Cooper. And then we get tight end Spencer Luna, who's been on the list the whole time, along with center Mackenzie Agnello, the guy we just added. And there's still people coming in. Defensive tackle Malachi Fanu. And that is it. The only guy we actually did not get is the other defensive tackle ended up committing to West Virginia, it looks like. The top recruiting class for this season goes to Notre Dame, who finished with 3 5-stars. Is that the most anyone pulled in? Actually, yes. Several people tied with a total of 3. Oklahoma, though, with a weird recruiting class of getting 3 5-stars, but 23 stars. Kind of weird for them to recruit like that, but it's whatever. What about in transfer class? I want to know how far high up we finished there. And all right, we're not up here at all. I figured we'd be a little bit higher. We finished 19 in the transfer portal. But in overall class, let's go take a look at the Big 12. We finished as the #1 class in our conference, which is really, really massive. Now, I would love to see where several of the top prospects went here because there were some massive names in this. Kendrick Falk ends up going to Duke, and then Colin Simmons goes to Baylor, but Arch Manning goes to Alabama. Jordan Seaton goes to Clemson. DJ Lagway also goes to Alabama. All right, that's awesome for the transfer portal to do that. 2 sophomore quarterbacks transferring into Alabama. Definitely not something that would be super common to happen, I would say. I would think one of them would go someplace else. They both had interest in us, but I did not feel like it was super realistic to go after them. What about the other top quarterbacks? Because there were some big name quarterbacks, I feel like, in this. And Avery Johnson ends up not going anywhere. All right, so is he just not going to be on a roster now? Because that would be kind of wild, to be completely honest. Eli Holstein ends up going to Auburn. Marcel Reed is at USC. And yeah, I mean, I can't get over that one. Avery Johnson just not being on a team. I mean, I could have made him my backup quarterback, I guess, but I really didn't want to do that. So hopefully Avery Johnson isn't just completely not on a team now. I guess in universe or in your head, you could just say he went to the NFL, but man, that's really kind of disappointing. But let's go into the position changes and see if we have any athletes that can move around. And I really knew that we would have some here, and I know exactly where they're all going. Jalen Horn, you're going to quarterback, along with, I believe, Sal Kwasia. Yeah, you're also going to go play quarterback for us. And then Terrell Stark is really the only one that may not go to running back. Never mind. He's definitely going to running back at a 72 overall. Where would he even be at for receiver? Because that was the other thing I was thinking. Did I scroll past it completely, or can you not move him to receiver? Oh, no, you can. I just scrolled past it. Ignore me. I'm blind. Anyway, we'll make Terrell Stark a running back. The rest of our offense doesn't look too bad here as of right now. We have not hit the offseason training, so, you know, anything can really change here. But when we look at center, we have an 83 and a 78 with Agnello that we just brought in. So we're actually going to move Agnello over to right guard because we do not have a solid right guard currently. I mean, Brister could actually develop or improve a little bit, but as of right now, we're just going to keep Agnello there. Man, our secondary might be a little bit rough this year. Jet White even transferring in is not better than these true freshmen. So I may be forced to start a true freshman at corner. Possibly 2 true freshmen, if not 3. I mean, Devondre McGee is still here. He's going to improve a little bit in offseason training. At free safety, we have a 79 currently, and strong safety is a 78 right now. We'll have to see how much better everyone got, but one thing I am really kind of excited about is our new kicker. Jamie Battle is an 81 overall as a true freshman. I feel like that's insane. Nate McCashlin, you're probably not making the team, to be completely honest. We just jumped up from level 14 to level 18. All right. Well, I've been working on the tactician, so I don't think I've ever talked about this. We started at recruiter, and I went ahead and got most of these like as high as they can go, except for like this. And I'm not worried about the increased chance to sway people. I honestly don't use the sway mechanic too much in this game. Is that a bad idea? Probably, but I don't really use it. But we are going to spend several points to upgrade the blocking part of Tactician because, yeah, we just get that completely maxed out. And I think we're also just going to go ahead and burn a couple into the running back part of Tactician. However, it is now time for training results. So let's figure out how much better everyone got on this team. Our quarterback goes up to a 92 overall right now. It says 89 over on the right-hand side. Not really sure why. Maybe this is with all of the boosts from like our coordinators and our tactician upgrades. But his accuracy doesn't get any better, but he gets more throw power, so that's exciting. Moving over to running back, Dawson Pendergrass is now the highest rated back on the team and still has F playing time. Don't really see why you think you have 0 playing time. You're not going to start over Jeremy Payne, who now has a gold shifty badge. That is absolutely amazing, but his career health has taken quite a hit here. That is kind of concerning. I feel like wear and tear in this game is a little bit absurd. I'm not going to lie to you about that. Nate Palmer is now a 78 and Denman's now a 75. Over at wide receiver, I was really kind of concerned about our receiver room. I don't really think I'm that concerned anymore. We had some massive jumps. Devin McQuinn's now an 88 overall, but Braylon James jumps up to an 86 along with Ed Small. So Malachi Coleman, who transferred in and probably thought he was going to easily be the wide receiver 2, definitely a competition now, along with Major Everhart going up to 98 speed as well. So we definitely have some speed at receiver, which is amazing to see. And I am now no longer concerned about our receiver position. Tight end, Kamorion Pimpton. I don't know if I said his first name right, but he is up to an 89 overall. Should be pretty fun. And then this guy is now a 71, so an okay backup, I guess. Let's just quickly go along the offensive line. Our left tackle, Rasheed Jackson, will be a 79. Left guard is going to be an 81. Our center is going to be an 87 in Van Wells, the transfer. Right guard is a 79, and Agnello, yeah, you're going to be the starter this year. Brister, you'll probably sit on the bench for another year. And then at right tackle, we have Ben Taylor Whitfield, who is a 76. Our tackles are not that good. That does kind of concern me, but nothing we can do about it at this point. Along the defensive line, we now have an 83 overall in Paul Oyewale. Yeah, you know what? Your name is your last name. 83 overall. At right edge, we have an 80 in Chad Woodfork, who is a redshirt freshman, so we'll get to start him for a while. At defensive tackle, we have an 86 in Marcus Deal. That is amazing. CJ Fight is going to be our DT number 2, but once again, an F in playing time. Really kind of concerning. I'm probably not going to start you over this guy. You're most likely going to be the second defensive tackle. At outside linebacker, Steven Williams Owens got a plus 10 to his rating from freshman to redshirt freshman, and immediately became the favorite to be the starter here. So, you know, good on him. At middle linebacker, we have a 76 in Max Carroll. I was hoping for a big jump there. Not really happening there. But at outside linebacker, we have Ventrell Hilton, who also got a plus 10 and is now an 80 overall as a redshirt sophomore. So now he is most likely the favorite to be the starter. And over at corner, we're definitely going to have some questions because Devondre McGee is a 74 overall and Jet White is now a 72 overall. So, you know, they both got a little bit better, but we're probably still going to end up starting some true freshmen in the secondary. Free safety, Kylan Jackson got a plus 4 to his overall. That's pretty solid. And then strong safety, Jamel Johnson got a plus 3. And Peyton Williams also got a plus 3. So these two will have to compete to see who's going to be the starter. Zone coverage is about the same. Speed is about the same. Play rec is a little bit higher with Jamel Johnson. So Peyton Williams, you may be kind of a rotational guy. What's your man coverage? 78? You may play a little bit of corner this year. And it is now time we get to encourage some transfers, starting with kicker Nate McCashlin, easily getting a cut or an encourage, whatever you want to say. He is gone. Our next release is going to be Michael. Yeah, you definitely have a last name here. 73 overall redshirt senior. You're not really going to find the field here, so we're going to go ahead and encourage you to transfer away. The next player getting the boot out of here is Caden McFadden, who is only a 70 overall and a junior. He is now behind Sergio Day, so we're going to go ahead and let him go. I'm not a massive fan of cutting redshirt sophomores a lot of the time, but I don't really think this guy has much space on this roster. Obviously, Wells will be the starter. Galbert will back him up, if that's how you say his name. But Samir Camacho, we are going to go ahead and encourage you to get up on out of here. We are now completely ready to get into Season 2, so let's show you what this year's schedule is going to look like. Starting off in week number 1, we will host the North Carolina Tar Heels. Last year, we went there in week 1 and lost by 3, so we look to get some revenge this season. Our second game will be at SMU as we travel to Dallas. Not a very far drive for us, but I am going to keep that rivalry game going. Then we have a home game against UTSA, which is kind of our tune-up game here, followed by a bye week before we get into Big 12 play, where we will start against Kansas State, then travel to Texas Tech, home against West Virginia, a road game against Arizona, home against BYU, back-to-back road games against UCF and Baylor, and then finally back-to-back home games to wrap up the regular season against Utah and Kansas. I have already set up our recruiting board for this season. Hopefully we can get some solid recruits here. There are some busts on the list, as you'll see, but I promise if they are a bust, they have solid ratings. So they're not going to develop super well, but they come in decently rated. But we have also already landed a guy. I went to offer this man a scholarship, and Terrence Beasel has just decided to take the offer completely. So we already have a 4-star defensive tackle committed. Now, for what the depth chart is going to look like this season, Josh Hoover will obviously be our starting quarterback, backed up by Adam Schobel. But should we get into any blowouts here, I do want to see Jalen Horn and Sal Kwasia take the field, just because I would love to see these true freshmen actually get some playing time. Returning at running back is going to be Jeremy Payne, backed up by Dawson Pendergrass though, and then Nate Palmer and John Denman will both back them up. I have redshirted all 3 of our freshman running backs, and we'll see how well they look after this season. At fullback, I actually decided to bench Matthew Blair, who was our fullback last season, and we've promoted Lafayette Kaiue. Sure, man, he's going to be our fullback though. Now, wide receiver, I mentioned in this video, went from a major concern to not a concern at all. Our number 1 will be Devin McQuinn, but then Malachi Coleman will be our number 2 to start the year. Braylon James will be our number 3, and then we have Ed Small, and then Major Everhart will stay all the way down here at wide receiver 5, hopefully coming in at some points throughout the season. And Jakyle Baker, who was actually decently involved in our offense last season, has taken a bit of a step back. At tight end, we do return Pimpton here, who is now an 89 overall. He'll be backed up by Kaiue, the guy that's lining up at fullback. He is only a 71. Let's look down our offensive line. It is not a great sight to see, though. Rasheed Jackson will be our starting left tackle at 79. At left guard, we have an 83 overall in Caden Moreau. At center, we have a 90 overall in Van Wells. Right guard will be Mackenzie Angelo at an 81. And then right tackle will be a 77 in Ryan Hughes. But now as we jump over to the defensive side of the ball, we have an 83 overall at left edge rusher. At right edge rusher will be a 79. Defensive tackle, though, we are kind of stacked. An 87 in Marcus Deal and an 86 in CJ Fight. We also have an 82 overall down here. Then at outside linebacker, we have an 80 overall in Ventrell Hilton. And then I want to jump to the other outside linebacker because that's going to be Steven Williams Owens, who is a 78. But at middle linebacker, we have made quite a decision here. Morgan Odrick, a true freshman out of Pflugerville, Texas, will be our starter. And the reason for that is because there is not much of a difference between him and Max Carroll, who was projected to be the starter. And we can display everything here. Morgan Odrick, and if you didn't see it on the final screen or on the last screen, you can see it here. He has an elite dev trait, which is why he is the starter. That is pretty much the only reason. And I've decided to redshirt the 5-star we actually got in Kavos. I don't know if I'm saying his name right at all, but he's only a star dev trait. So we're going to throw Odrick out there this season and see if he can develop into something amazing for us. Now over at corner, it is a little bit wild. Peyton Williams, our backup safety, will actually play the number 1 corner spot, and then Devondre McGee will be our number 2 corner. Then John Ebukam and Connor Abram will both back them up as true freshmen. Jet White down here to 72 overall. We have another true freshman that might actually get some playing time if I can actually find him down here. And no, those are all receivers. So it's actually, okay, I scrolled right past him. It's Devontae Mahoney. He's a 66 overall. I'm not going to redshirt him for right now, just because I don't really think there's a reason to. We may need him to step up and play, but currently this will be the lineup at corner. Then at free safety, it is not much of a shock that Kylan Jackson will remain the starter, and at strong safety, Jamel Johnson will be the starter, backed up by Sergio Day. So if Jamel Johnson gets hurt, it doesn't immediately throw Peyton Williams back into the starting spot. He will be our 3rd string, and if we start going that far down the depth chart, we might be screwed anyway. We will be starting both a true freshman kicker and punter. Our kicker is Jamie Battle, and our punter is Mike Mondo. Moving on in these special teams, our kick and our punt returner, both of them are going to be Major Everhart, just because if he gets hurt, it doesn't affect our receiver room too bad. And then kicking after scoring will be Jamie Battle, and long snapper is going to be Spencer Luna. I don't really know if long snapper matters in this game, but we're going to put the redshirt freshman out there. This season, Jeremy Payne will actually be our 3rd down back. I believe last year it alternated early on in the season between him and Barnes, but as of right now, he is set as the only 3rd down back. And at power back, we will be using Dawson Pendergrass. Our slot wide receiver is going to be Malachi Coleman. It tried to put Ed Small here at first, but I think Coleman with his speed is going to be just a massive, massive boost to this offense. Our rushing left end will be Chad Woodfork, who is an 80 overall. Our rushing right end is going to be Jared Martin at a 77. And our rushing defensive tackle will be CJ Fight instead of Marcus Deal, but they should both be on the field at that time. And then our sub linebacker will be Ventrell Hilton at an 80 overall. Our slot corner is going to be Peyton Williams. So when he's in the slot here, it looks like our sophomore McGee will be our number 1 corner. So the secondary is going to be moving around quite a lot this season. I know we don't watch a lot of the defense, but it may not be such a great year for the defensive side of the ball. Nose tackle is going to be CJ Fight, and then finally our gadget player is going to be Major Everhart. I don't think the TCU playbook, which is the playbook I've used the entire time on this series, I don't believe it has any gadget plays, but I could be completely wrong. If there is one, it will be Major Everhart. But with all of that being said now, it is finally time to wrap up this offseason video. And in the next episode, we will kick off Season 2 in Week 1 as we host the North Carolina Tar Heels.